Honey.
Hello, hello, hello. Good day, everyone. Welcome to episode 6 of PopCast. Joining me today in the studio here in Neos, we have a special, very special guest, Complete Guarantee.
Hey guys.
Complete Guarantee Complete Guarantee, you may know him as the leader of ARC, head of ARC. He is the head honcho, makes all the important decisions. Basically, you're a miner of salt.
Yeah, true.
There's plenty of that in the community for sure.
Yep, for sure.
And also, you may have noticed there is a special guest as our co-host today, DC, who was a guest on here just the other day. Yeah, we roped him into doing this mainly because you might recall that Radfox's laptop hard drive completely died the other day, and so she could not make it today. I've got an echo on me. Okay. Wonder why that is.
I think it's from DC. I have headphones on, so it shouldn't be.
I've got. Well, I just use my Index headphones.
But there wasn't an echo just now as well, which is weird.
I've had an echo the whole time, pretty much. But yeah.
Oh, okay. Let me just turn down some volume settings here for voice.
I took a picture by accident. It was a candid picture.
It's good.
Yeah. If you guys want to go into your settings, you can just filter down the voice volume. I've got mine at like 35%. It just means that we'll not be screaming in each other's ears. Thank you so much. Yes, we will definitely be bouncing today. Thank you, Val. Thank you so much for being in the chat as well. Yeah, so what was I? It's just housekeeping stuff here. Basically, we have DC because Radfox lost her hard drive. So that's 4 years of data down the drain for her. So I feel very bad. Rip Radfox. Hopefully she'll be back to streaming again by Friday at the earliest, probably. But she definitely wants to make it on for the interview with Noose that we have planned. So, Complete.
Hello.
Let's get into it. How about you tell us about yourself? Yeah, I mean, where did the name Complete Guarantee come from, and why did you misspell it so awfully in here?
Yeah, I did misspell it in the Earth. That's true. That's quite embarrassing as well. Look, okay, when it doesn't, you don't have a proper keyboard in front of you. Okay, it's annoying. But no, where did it come from? I mean, I used to be like just my first name, last name was like my gamer tag for like ages on PlayStation and things like that. And then I was setting up a Reddit account, and I thought, Reddit's obviously a place where like you're kind of supposed to be anonymous. It's almost part of the point, really. Reddit has the option to like randomly generate a username for you, and so I just clicked the button, and I guess they just put two words together, and the first result was Serious Result was the first name, and then I was like, I don't like that too much, and then clicked it again, and the next one was Complete Guarantee, and I was like, oh, that's quite nice because like.
Awesome.
It makes sense as two words together, but it also doesn't really mean too much. Like Complete Guarantee of what? Like could literally be anything. It doesn't have to be good, So yeah.
Complete guarantee of victory whenever you play the way you do. That's that works.
I'm not too sure about that, but yeah, maybe sometimes. But yeah, like it's just I just thought it was a good name. And then what's actually become quite good is that like people like. It becomes like complete and then something else, and like people just sort of like mess about with the name, and so you'll see often in ARC like I'll change my nickname to like whatever is like topical at the moment. Like if I was in Dublin for work the other day, so I became Complete Dublin.
Farmer Jim.
Farmer Jim is Farmer Jim is just because I don't know. Sometimes I just like to run pubs and chill out, and like the amount I don't want to. You guys probably get it the same, like being streamers and stuff. But like people, if I'm playing and like someone, even whether I beat them or they beat me, like they'll just. I can't play for like more than an hour or two without getting a Discord DM from someone like, "Oh, good games" and stuff like that. And it's like, well, usually I don't mind too much, but I just want to play and have some fun. And You know, I don't really care for like toxic kids and things like that. Like thinking they're better than me or whatever. I don't really care much for it. So yeah.
DC. Sorry, DC. You
I'm
accidentally
pressing
took
buttons.
a 360-degree photo. So that's very cool and all, but
we're just gonna have a collection of photos over there, are we? Yeah.
I don't know. I like doing candid photos. What can I say?
Yeah, it was just that it was sitting right over your camera.
I was wondering
so
what it was. I thought it was a mirror or something. Another mirror.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you've never seen one of these before, this is a 360-degree photo. You can get inside
fantastic.
it and stuff.
Lovely.
So yeah. One of the interesting things that Neos can do. It also does the 3D photos that I showed you yesterday.
Oh yeah. They're really cool.
Yeah. Speaking of which, we almost missed tradition. Let us give Complete some love.
I can give myself some love.
There we go.
My aim's just as bad in here than it is in Pop One.
Well, I just shot your gun just now. So yeah, that's the lengths I'll go to miss someone. Max says I have to turn off the picture because it's borderline NSFW.
Yeah, it is.
Well,
you're lucky they're sat down, because if there wasn't a desk, you'd be seeing some
it's
scary
getting
stuff
worse.
Right now.
That's the thing. It's getting worse. Like, every time it's becoming skimpier and skimpier.
Yeah, Fuse, absolutely. You got to come on in. Yeah. A lot of people, as I say, you're a professional salt miner. A lot of people get pretty salty the decisions Arc makes. One of the controversial ones recently has been banning Cyberblades.
Yes.
So what sort of led you through that process to eventually decide to ban them? Because I know that in comp, I certainly kind of agree, because ping differences are huge with it. But, I guess some people can improvise, adapt, and overcome with that. I just can't. So
yeah. I mean, like, our vision for Arc has always been to be like a highly competitive place over, like, obviously with competition comes fun, and it should still be fun. But, we really want it to be, the most competitive league that there is. That's really always been our goal with it. And that does mean that sometimes we remove those more fun aspects of things. Like, you can't really zone res compared to some other leagues, like in Arc. Like, the ability to zone res is next to nothing, because that's not fun, that's not competitive. So we have high zone damage for that. When it comes to like removing items, I'm always like of the view that if it's in the game, we should have it in competitive. So, like, whilst it is up to me, I would keep swords in. And you're talking to an EU player who plays on East Coast ping all the time. So when you talk about ping, like, you're quite right. The sword does get affected by ping, but it's part of the game, and that's just the game we play. And the netcode of the servers aren't great as it is. So even if you're playing on a local server, you're still getting 40 ping. Whereas if you were to go to a PC game like Valorant or something like that, then you're going to be playing on 8 ping, or not even. Like, you might actually be on 2 or 3 ping, whereas the lowest you're really going to get on Pop is 40. But yeah, I mean, like, we've put it in our end of season survey for every season for sort of the past, I guess, 3 or 4 seasons, as we sort of first heard, some comments from players that are you going to remove the sword, or you should remove the sword. And in the past, I mean, last season, there was much more of like Diamond Division voted about 70% in favor of removing the sword, and then Red was about 60%, and then everywhere else was about 30 to 50%. And overall, it came out about 50% of people wanted it removed, 50% wanted it to stay. And that's just not like a majority for me. That's like that I'm comfortable with removing it. But then this past the end of season survey this season, we saw 70% were in favor of removing it. And so that to me says, okay, there is now, like, within our player base, there seems to be much more of a just a feeling that it should be removed. So the sword was quite a difficult one. I feel like frags, and when we removed the MK18 recently, were much easier decisions.
because
We
they're
removed
bugged.
frags. Yeah, we removed frags about a year ago now, for about a month or two because they didn't have sound and they didn't have the little red flashing ring as it was like coming towards you.
Mm-hmm.
So you would literally just die to a frag and have no idea where it was.
No idea.
And that was obviously a clear, like, get rid of it. And then also obviously tell the devs as well, because if they don't know about it, they can't fix it.
Mm-hmm.
But then the same this past, a lot of the Diamond Division wanted the frags removed, mainly because they don't really like pin dropping and don't think that that's particularly competitive. And we were pushing back quite a lot, saying like, no, there's not really a problem with them. But then we had the feedback from people that
thanks.
Hey Belle. We basically we got submitted a load of information from different players, clips and stuff, and we realized, actually frags are quite broken, and they do seem to be glitching through walls and things like that, like more than we thought. We knew it was happening, but we thought it was happening. We got like one clip every 2 or 3 months, which is like, given the amount of games that are played in Arc, that's not really that much. Mm-hmm. But then we felt, oh no, this is broken. And again, I've been speaking to the devs about it, and they thought it was going to be a quick fix, but apparently it's more complex than that. So yeah, but as soon as the frags are fixed, they'll be back for sure. And the same with the MK18, right?
I think you can actually still just have a frag in your hand, reach through a wall, and release it inside of a building as well. Yep. That's another thing. So, if you didn't know that, that's how you sometimes die to these insane frags, because people have just literally reached through the floor or reached through the wall and thrown a frag in next to you.
Yeah, exactly. And that's not fun or competitive, right? So it's for us, once we got that evidence, it was pretty clear that should be removed. Yeah, swords was a little bit more... definitely. Yeah, we've said, it's going to be a 1-season trial. We'll see how it goes. I actually don't see swords used that much anyway, which is kind of a reason for like removing them, but also a reason for keeping them. Like, if they're not used much anyway, then does it matter?
Well, I know a lot of people who say that they really, really enjoyed using the sword. Let's see. Abstract from WWW, he says, it's the most fun he has in comp is trying to run at people with swords. I know when Attacked by Wolves was playing, he did a lot of stuff with the sword. So
for sure.
Yeah, certainly. Oops, I went the wrong way there.
It seems to be like with the sword and the grenades, that they seem to be, they go in hand in hand quite well as well, right? Like, you have one person pin drop off the tower, and then the other guy will go in. It's not even like you can, if there was like at least like some form of friendly fire with the grenades, where you can have someone, on your team that actually takes damage from the grenade that you throw. I think that would actually make it a little bit more sensible. But otherwise, you'll have someone that comes in completely silent with a sword and 2 grenades, and potentially wiping out a whole team that are stacked well. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, if you push into a small building with a sword, I mean, not only can you... I think one of the biggest difficulties is you can also like swipe through builds with it as well, and through walls sometimes, and you can take down builds really quickly. So... And it's also quite a low skill weapon. I mean, you don't really need to aim anything, right? You just can run at someone and swipe, and you'll probably get the kill. So yeah, it's definitely a difficult one. I mean, we'll see how it goes for this season, and we'll include it in the end of season survey at the end of next season, and get the feedback again, and maybe it'll come back.
People might just miss it. Who knows?
Yeah, but, I mean, on that note though, like. In our playoffs this past weekend, Marshy Fam and MRVQ both dropped on a team and got 3 knife kills between the 2 of them. Like,
I love
with
knives.
a knife, not with a sword. Like,
so much easier to get guaranteed damage.
They're doing half the damage, and like, so it's not necessarily that. I don't know. It's a difficult one, to be honest with you. But one thing I learned very early on was we can't please everyone. And that's just the fact of the matter. No matter what decision I make, keep them, remove them, there are going to be people upset. So I just have to do like what I think is in the best interest of Arc as a league, whether that is, sometimes that is going to be pleasing the players and doing what the players want. Sometimes it's going to be, doing what's best for us operationally or anything else. It's just the way it is.
Yeah. I mean, in my opinion, The only thing I've really seen Arc suffer from is like growing pains, in that you've expanded a lot and you've got your staff stretched pretty thin. So like my experience when I was actually playing in Arc was pretty miserable, because it was just like really long lobbies because the hosts weren't really used to it or anything like that. But I think, as they settle in, it'll become so much smoother, and then it'll become a very pleasant playing experience. So and
we
maybe
definitely used to
things
have
like
problems with
making sure to restart. Sorry, keep
No,
going.
I was just say like we used to have problems with or we didn't really like put as much effort into training like lobby hosts, and that sounds so strange because like again everyone is volunteering their time to do this, but we have a set of rules and we have a set of standards that the players expect, so we have to put in we have to put in we have a quiz for people, we have a help sheet, we have training that they have to go through, they have to shadow another lobby host before they can be signed off as a lobby host. And sometimes it isn't always possible, because if we need a lobby host, we need a lobby host. Like, it's just that simple. Otherwise we have to cancel sessions, and that's not fun for anyone. So it's really difficult. But yeah, I think it's a lot more complex than a lot of people think sometimes. So yeah.
Just good morning, Pink, by the way. Thanks very much for stopping by. Pink would have loved to have been here interviewing you, but it is very early for him. He lives in Alabama. So
oh wow,
that's like 6 hours behind us Central Time.
Yeah, we're all UK here, right? You're UK as well, DC.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So in terms of the arc structure at the moment, obviously we've had two more, since the beginning of just having the standard 3 divisions. There's now 5. There's a lot more people interested, right?
Yeah, there's 6 divisions, or there was 6 divisions. I think we'll be removing White Division this coming season, and so just because we've had some teams leave, and so it doesn't make sense having the 6 divisions. But yeah, we'll be going down to 5, I think, this season. So we'll have blue, purple, gold, red, diamond.
And how have you managed to cope with the extra workload? Is that something that you factored into, actually, even though you know that perhaps the game's growing in terms of the competition scene, and there are more leagues, but actually for Arc in like specifically, what have you is there anything that you've put in place to ensure that the experience remains the same and can still be improved?
Yeah, so again, I think like that those lobby hosting processes and having training for lobby hosts and help guides and things like that, because that's what the players experience most of the time, is those lobby hosts. So making sure that they have a clear set of instructions or whatever it might be to operate at their best. I think that's really important for us. I think that I definitely try to focus on making everything we do be scalable, because like I said, everyone's volunteering their time. So there's 2 aspects to being scalable. One is we're volunteering our time, so we want to be as efficient as possible with our time. And then the other part is, like you said, as things grow, we need to be able to support that without adding, hundreds more staff or requiring, tens of different people. Like we're quite efficient at the moment with our leadership team and with our staff team. Yeah, I mean, we always need more lobby hosts. We always need more screenshot verifiers. These are things that it is difficult to scale because you just can't make it more efficient. I mean, hopefully, the devs will release an API or something so that we can do automatic score collection and things like that. But it's obviously not a priority for them, and I understand that. But I think that the devs maybe sometimes underestimate the passion in this community, and how many players there are here, and as well how many players are probably still here only because of competitive. I mean, I know me for certain, like if I wasn't competing, I probably wouldn't be playing Pop today. That's like the reason that I continue. And I'm sure that's the same for a lot of other people as well. Or at least maybe not competing specifically, but the community as a whole is the reason that they stay here. I mean, I've made Cobra EU. I went to a festival with them back in July, met them in real life for the first time, and we spent 3 days together at a music festival, which was awesome. Like, these are people I met online, 18 months ago, and have spoken to, near enough every single day since then. So the community
it's funny.
is definitely...
I was talking to Patty just after that, and he said you're on your way rotating back home in real life.
yeah. I mean, walking around a giant festival is like making rotations around Armory or something. Yeah, it's kind of crazy, just with a load of people.
Yeah. So, DC, you play currently. You played Red. Now going up into Diamond qualifiers. How you feeling about that?
So with the experience of just the Diamond teams yesterday in the PPC, in season 1 was just we maintained the top division, right? And realizing that other than I think the Norwegian team, everyone is Diamond division standard in the PPC, and it just made me realize that actually. Especially with the issues that we're going to have with the ping being not as easy, not a 40-50 ping, but maybe double that. It's going to be a tough game.
Yeah, it's definitely difficult, and that's one of the reasons why players have. Obviously, we used to host 2 p.m. scrims, so 7 p.m. In the UK, and everyone used to ask for EU lobbies, but that's not what you're competing on, at least when you're competing in ARC. So it doesn't make much sense to be practicing in different circumstances to what you're going to be playing, in my opinion, at least. You should be practicing in the same circumstances as you'll be competing in. And so there was a lot of blowback from the players because they really wanted EU servers for the EU scrim times, but it's just one of those things. We can't please everyone, and there's definitely pros and cons to both sides. It's just we have to make a decision one way or the other at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
Well, it makes sense, really. It's kind of it's great to have solo tournaments, but if there's no scrim practice and there's no option for to try it out in public lobbies, it's a really different experience that nobody else will be able to give unless you do something like experienced people that have done it in the past that will put on a custom lobby. It's going to be really difficult to actually replicate that and train for solos.
Yeah, exactly.
So unless you've got that kind of base structure that you can work on, I think it's totally right what you're saying. Actually, it might be better to if time zones weren't a thing, definitely do the higher ping lobbies. Yeah, absolutely.
And also, you can run as many pubs as you want, right? If you don't scrim, you're never going to be up at red or diamond level. You're just not.
Yeah.
You have to scrim. You have to actually play against these people because it's a completely different game. I run around, pub lobbies, just I kill one team and then I'm just immediately launching myself after the next team. Whereas, in competitive, you've got to think a lot more conservatively. Where's the zone going? How long the fights are not over very quickly. They take a long time off them. You just look at the amount of damage that gets dealt. I mean, the average sort of damage that we see per kill is 300, because they only have 200 health. So it really adds up, to be honest with you. You have to practice in there.
Have you noticed the difference in the top division of ARC since it was kind of created, the skill level of the players and how the meta has kind of changed, the way that it's made some of the players that are used to struggle really good, and the people that have been long time Pop 1
I mean, there's definitely
in the competition scene.
There's definitely meta changes happen, but it's not. I'd say obviously this past meta change that came in June was the most significant one that we've had so far. I mean, there was changes to almost every single weapon, but ultimately, you're still playing the same game, and it really doesn't take you too long, I don't think, to pick up those new weapons, and most players did it quite quickly, and that's one of the reasons why with these past couple of updates we've had those show matches later that day. And obviously, a lot of the players in the competitive community are also play testers. They do get to play a lot of the stuff early, but it's really not for much. It's an hour or two here or there, and often the versions that they play are not the finalized versions anyway, and things are still being changed. Yeah. But those show matches, I think, are really nice to show just how quickly some of these top players can adapt to things and can master new weapons like the Uzis or the RFB or the FAL or something like that. It is really nice to see. I think we've definitely seen. I mean, I've been competing in Diamond Division since the formation of Mob Toyko back when in season 1 of Mob Toyko. It's definitely been through ebbs and flows. I'd say season 3, season 4 that we just had. We just finished season 5, so the 2 seasons before that, they were probably the most competitive that we've had in Arc in Diamond Division. I felt like the level of skill was much closer. I mean, Cobra NA was still on top by a fair margin, but every other team was pretty well balanced. This past season, I think it split up a little bit more, and some teams fell more towards the bottom, including my team. And then we had, Fugitives, and I was really surprised by Supreme Royals actually and their performance during the playoffs. They got, I mean, not lucky, but like they got lucky because they won by like 0.6 points. But they put on an amazing performance, given that they got last place, 0 kills, and like 250 damage in 2 games. To still come first is wild to me. Yeah, it was wild. It has its ebbs and flows. What I would say is, because I think you said, the PPC EU teams, I would say that the teams in that top bracket are more red level. I think when you experience Arc Diamond Division, you might be in for maybe not a shock. Like I think you'll expect that they're a slightly higher level, but they are. Yeah, it's quite different. I mean, if you speak to like Lumas or even other people that have been in red for a while, like when they start playing against Diamond Division, it's just, I don't know, it's scarily different, to be honest with you. There's not like a completely different, level of skill or anything, but just, you will get fucked up no matter like if you peak or anything you do, basically.
See, this is actually one of the things that I kind of mentioned in one of my shoutcasts the other day. In that, so I'd been watching a lot of like Saturday nights, basically, just to give you a bit of history. I used to just get some friends together. We'd go into like Big Screen or somewhere like that, and I would share like the Twitch stream of Diamond, then Red, then Gold, and I think it was Diamond or Red, then Diamond again, or something like that.
The whole day.
It would do from like 6 p.m. from here until like 2 a.m. in the morning. It was awesome. So great way to just chill out, have some drinks, and have fun with friends. But yeah, we can all sit in there and you watch the plays. And what I do notice about the Red Division matches is they tend to take a bit longer. There's a lot more sort of focusing on position. There'll be a couple of pokes and then they'll back off. Whereas the Diamond Division players actually seem to get more aggressive because they're very confident in knowing how to fight. So they'll just go straight in and they'll be like, okay, let's push this. And then, let the chips fall away. Usually if someone commits to a push, it's
capitalizing on your opportunities, basically. Like as soon as you know that they're slightly weaker than you are, like just pouncing on it. Whereas in Red, I feel like to be able to push someone, that level of confidence is much higher. You need to be the Red players need to really have them really, really weak before they decide to push. Whereas the Diamond players, like they snipe one, they get the other one, almost cracked, like they're pushing. That's it. This fight's happening now.
And so I mean, they do all have like insane accuracy as well, which helps. So they've got the skills to pay the bills. Basically, you show them a pixel of your head, and suddenly it's cracked with an op shot. So
very true.
Yeah, I like asked Patia to 1v1 me a while back, and it was just annihilation. So,
Yeah,
I think I lost like
Patsy's very good at
9-1. I did manage
1v1s.
to get one, but just because he took pity on me. But it did show me like a gap because I really was interested, you know. But it
Yeah,
also lets you know,
and this
what
is
you
also
want to work on.
yeah, and this is one of the other difficulties from an ARC perspective is like the amount of like blue, purple, gold players that get frustrated with the fact that there are so many divisions and it takes quite a while to work your way up to the top. And I agree with that. Like, it's a shame, but one of the reasons that we have done this and one of the reasons we have so many divisions is because the feedback previously was I'm not having fun because I'm just getting stomped because the skill gap within a single division was so wide. Whereas we'd rather have smaller, sort of more compact divisions so that, yeah, you have a fairer opportunity. Yeah, it's again, it comes back to you can't please everyone. You just have to do your best.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
one of the things
that certainly makes sense.
One of the things that I've realized is when we're forming a new team, and this happened when with our team that was in purple, we got absolutely right. Like the first that it was just pure chance because of the time zones. We got put in a lobby with 3 Diamond Division players, but they created their new team, so which put them back in purple, right?
Mm-hmm.
So by doing so, it just meant that we were getting wrecked every session by the same 3 guys. MRVQ, I can't remember who the other 2 were, but it was like, come
Biohazard.
on. I can't remember, it was a while back, but I was like, come on. It was a great experience, don't get me wrong. I loved it. But at the same time, I think that the by having that rule in place kind of does get frustrating for the players that have slowly worked their way up and that are doing better. But obviously, that not everybody can be at the top. I don't even think that our team will make Diamond Division. I really don't. But and that's only because I'm playing with 2 other guys that are coming in from Gold. So it just means that it's a little bit unfair for the people that, let's say, start in white, go to blue, and then have been in purple. And then we've got some great players that have got really high league points that have formed a new team, gone in purple, and getting absolutely wrecked. So what's your opinions on that side of things? I know you said you can't please everyone, but what is... And also, I think having a positive outlook and mindset of actually saying, you know what, yeah, this is good competition for us. It's only going to help us improve. But at the same time, if you are getting that feedback saying, come on, we're just getting wrecked every time, it's not fun.
Well, what I was saying was actually the feedback is lately has been the opposite. That they, the blue or purple players want to be up in red, but are sat middle of the table in blue or purple, which respectfully isn't. You're going to really struggle up in red if you're middle of the table in blue or purple. Our seeding system and putting new teams in is definitely difficult. Certainly, a team that has very high LP or that has competed in red or diamond before shouldn't be getting put into purple. They should be starting in gold. But there's also a difficulty of just because a new team has been formed between different players that used to play in red or diamond, doesn't mean that they are necessarily automatically diamond level. I mean, if you take, for example, the Cobra Toxin team, Marshy Fam, Biohazard, and MRVQ, we knew that they were going to be good. I mean, they were red, diamond level. They sort of played in, between them, they'd all played in red or diamond. But are they diamond level or are they red level? Is a really difficult one. And then if they're red level, well, I now need to say to a team that was in gold that they thought had earned a spot into red, I now need to say, sorry, you haven't earned that spot because this new team was formed and they're going into red instead. So again, it becomes really difficult, right? I don't think that anyone thought that team were going to do as well as they did in obviously they played in gold dangerous. And then they absolutely obliterated Red Division. I don't think anyone expected them to be quite that good. Because like one of the things you'll find is, Diamond Division, when you get to Diamond Division, your personal skill is only part of it. You can have 3 like really good players, but it comes like down to chemistry, and just, understanding when your teammates are going to push and everyone's role on the team and things like that.
This brings me absolutely perfectly good segue into your comms yesterday were awesome for me to listen to because they were so clean.
Okay.
Not a wasted word. And whenever there was a wasted word, you quickly told Danoff to shut the hell up.
It was usually that, but yeah. I mean, I think Goodbet described me as the Gordon Ramsay of Pop 1 the other week. Like when I'm playing, like I'm pretty I can be pretty harsh and pretty demanding on the team at times. But I think so it happens. I found with Zav and with kids in general that I played with, or sort of like younger people, they tend to over communicate a lot, and so they'll be talking about like, firstly, if you're dead, shut up. You're dead. Okay? Like, unless you're calling out an enemy position, in which case you just need to say it once, or say they're pushing, or there's a guy on me. You don't need to repeat it. Otherwise, stop talking. I don't care about why you died, whether there was a bug, whether you were just bad. I don't care what happened. Like, we're past that now. We have to move on from that quite quickly because we're still alive and we still need to focus. I mean, a good example of that, and I don't think they had our comms, but in Diamond Division the other week, we, like, Dan and Patia went down, and I ran all the way from like Summit all the way through farmlands between like 2 or 3 different teams out to Frontier, and Dan and Patia were dead silent for the whole time, so that I could listen to whether there was a guy in front of me, whether there was a gunshot, just focus on getting out as quickly as possible. So yeah, like I think like communication has to be really effective as well. Like I say, it's not in Diamond Division. Your skill, your personal skill, and just having 3 players that are good at gun skill isn't enough to win you a session or win you a league. You really have to be communicating and working as a team effectively. I mean, if you look at Cobra Toxin, the way they push teams is so scary. Yeah, the way they push teams is just scary, man. Like,
they're so aggressive.
I think that's why they
stumped Red so hard. Yeah, I think that's why they stumped Red so hard, because they really just were totally stacked a lot of the time, or they'd have like a really nice flank going in from a completely different angle, so there's just no escape. And they move so fast, and their shots are so accurate. People just did not have a chance. So it was pretty amazing. And they did really pretty good in the diamond lobbies I was watching. Obviously, the more experienced teams. Well, I say that, but then Fugitives, I suppose, wasn't like a super experienced team, was it? How long have Fugitives been?
No, because they've had a few changes, and obviously, like Anderson got banned, and so he was replaced on the team. But they have all been playing generally in the same circle with each other. They've definitely played with each other like multiple times in the past. So yeah, they have an understanding of each other's play styles and things, I think.
Just quickly, Tipsy Trixie, thank you so much for stopping by. Lovely to see you. Say hi to Reaper for me as well. I hope he's doing well and recovering from those surgeries. Pat says, maybe don't let your mates play on your account and alt that session. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I mean, this is a comment I've heard from you, Pap, a few times, but I've never really known it to actually happen. And if it is happening and there's evidence of it, like, report it to us in a ticket. I've never seen a ticket come with anything like that.
I've only seen it happen in GoP1 actually. Whenever they had, like, Softus had kind of like I suppose like it's like a soft secret ban procedure. So someone who was banned, none of the rest of anyone kind of knew it. They just kind of were asked, like, please don't come in here anymore. But yeah, if those players were banned, what they would do is they'd come in on an alt account, and if they didn't cause any trouble, we just didn't really care. As long as they're not causing any trouble, because that's it. But yeah, it definitely was fairly common.
Yeah,
and
I mean, it's one of those things
that
like,
they would even be like playing with you.
Yeah, I mean, like, how do you detect it? Really, like, there's no way for me to know who's playing. We rely on the lobby host, and again, with 20 to 25 sessions running every single week, yeah, it's not always possible. Just not.
Yeah, because I mean, the only reason I sort of knew it was like a few of them were alts is because they literally because I ended up sort of ending up in the same team as them. They were sort of like, by the way, this is an alt. And I was like, I know this voice. And then he was like, oh yeah, let you in a secret, this is an alt. And I'm like, well, duh, you're like level 4.
Yeah.
Level 4,
and that's another thing that might help
2 teams
with,
by yourself.
Yeah, I mean, again, with auto score reporting, I mean that would probably help that, and we'd be able to better track, people's levels and things like that, how many pubs they played, all sorts of stuff. But again, it's a difficult one.
I think the thing is, yeah. Go on, honey.
No, I was going to say it is conceivable that someone just started the game and was immediately taken under the wing of some Diamond Division player, and they just ran them through the mill in custom rooms, and they never played pubs. That's conceivable. Unlikely.
There's also like people coming from other games, people coming from Onward or Contractors or Veil or something like that. Yeah, that's absolutely a possibility too. These guys know how to shoot. They know gun mechanics.
Winter, for example, he'll be a guest on here sometime soon. He was Echo, and I think it was Contractors or Pavlov, something like that. Very high level, like number 2 in the world or something like that in Echo. Anyway, so yeah, he's coming in with amazing skills already from other games, and yeah, if you watched his Pop 1 gameplays, definitely up and coming. I'm sure he's got like a game plan in the back of his mind to become number 1 in the world or something in this as well.
Nice.
Yeah, it's the type of guy he is. I like it. Balpo asked a great question. Is there an ETA on auto score reporting or nothing on the radar yet?
Yeah, no, nothing yet. I know Sky Candy's obviously working on her thing, and she said as soon as she gets that to a point where she's sort of comfortable with it and it's working sort of as intended, she'll turn that into an API that we can then utilize as well. I haven't spoken to her recently, but I know she's still working on it and still had some problems with it. With the devs, I mean, yeah, I've requested it a number of times. They said it's like on the roadmap, but it's like, distant future probably. And yeah, it's a difficult one. I mean, the devs, you guys might remember the invitational that happened like way back in, the first, the devs only sort of, they're only when they dip their toes into Pop. Yeah. And I think the devs, they got treated like shit because of that. And they probably shouldn't have done. I mean, I do think that they didn't manage the expectations particularly well. It was sort of advertised as an end of season tournament. It should have always been advertised as an invitational tournament. There was kind of this expectation throughout the season that it was going to be some
qualifiers and stuff.
Qualifier, open qualifier, everyone can play, that kind of thing. Like you see in Fortnite and things like that. And it's completely understandable that it wasn't going to be something like what Fortnite do. But yeah, I don't think they managed the expectations particularly well. And that meant that the players, and I think a lot of it was probably fueled by Vape, who was particularly vocal about it. And unfortunately, the devs pretty much have a bit of a sour taste about the competitive scene and things because of that. And
it's unfortunate.
Yeah, that takes a long time to try and repair. Whether it's repairable at all,
Well, I mean, I really do hope that the devs do manage to sort of get in touch with the community again, because to create a game that people love is surprisingly easy at the start, and it gets harder and harder as you go on, because there's more and more expectations put on you then. Like to create anything basically is people will go, wow, that's amazing, and then sort of be like, wait, how difficult is it just to add this?
Yeah,
How difficult is it
exactly.
to add this? I want this, and it's like, well, suddenly you're sort of crushed under the weight of expectations. Whereas, if Big Box can sort of get a framework for community interaction, which we were talking about with the verified title and the uses of that. You could have them as like community signboards almost, so that people can ask them about stuff. But that would basically allow them to sort of get a filter for the information that's being thrown at them, and sort of see, what are the main concerns of, say, new players that are just coming in. What are the concerns of people in comp? What are the concerns of people in clans? All of that.
Yeah.
What are the concerns of people who just like fun lobbies?
Yeah, it's the same problem as we suffer from. You can't please everyone, so you just kind of have to pick your battles. Obviously, frags being broken is really upsetting, but it's not happening every single game. And they also want to release new content and keep the game fresh. And I know they're working on some really exciting stuff at the moment, and I think they have some cool plans for the 2-year anniversary at the end of October.
Awesome.
And they definitely do. Like I speak to the devs quite regularly. I'm actually, I follow one of the devs on Instagram, and we're become quite good friends. But it's they have the expectations of the competitive scene, the casual scene. They're obviously owned by Facebook, so they have I'm sure Facebook higher ups and things that wants to see the game go in a certain direction or do certain things. It's always a difficult one. It's a balancing act always.
Yeah. There's a thing. Ranked mode ditched though. Winner. What are your thoughts on ranked mode and it being removed or vaulted?
I think that's probably a good move, to be honest with you. I really like ranked mode. I grinded for Grand Banana in June, and then didn't play for the whole of July.
Love your banana?
Oh,
you have a banana above your head?
Yeah, thanks for. I didn't even notice that. But yeah.
Complete banana.
I think it's probably a good decision. It certainly seems that a lot of players weren't happy with it. I mean, I watched the podcast you did with Bal at the weekend. It was Saturday, I think you did it, or Sunday. With Bal, where you were talking about exactly that. That it's not fun going into ranked, and I think some people don't care about their rank, but some people felt very they didn't want to play pubs with their friends because they felt like they were going to lose with their friends, and that meant losing rank points, and that meant that's just that's not what Pop are trying. Like, Pop has always been quite a community driven thing. I mean, there's a reason there's so many social features. I've talked with a couple of the devs about, they were talking about trying to get Discord integration and like, how do we help people actually build community and build connections, because that's what gets you coming back. I mean, I don't think if I hadn't met Danov and your boy Johnny and Big Arm Matt, in the early days, you probably don't know who two of those names, you wouldn't have a clue. But if I hadn't met those guys like in the early days running pubs, I mean, they were the reason that I came back and played the game for many hours every single day. And I just became addicted because I enjoyed talking to these people. And then I obviously I found MTS, and there was a great community there. And then I found Mob Toiko and obviously now Arc, and yeah, I think that's, again, like we said earlier, it's a reason a lot of people come back and play the game. It's because of that.
Exactly, and I mean, they certainly have like a game with like a great draw to it. I mean, I think I've probably said before, but one of my favorite things was, if I was out with friends and I was already like pretty hyped up and I wasn't feeling quite ready to sleep yet when I got home, I just hop on Pop and hang out with more friends and make new ones. It was really good times. And I felt like, rank mode kind of just stopped that, because no one wants a slightly liquored up Irishman on their team being useless and just talking crap.
It's just, I just feel like it was unwanted and unneeded pressure for public games. That's all. I'm the same. Like, I didn't, my playstyle didn't change whatsoever, but it just meant that. For especially newcomers, that I know the developers are really keen on bringing in new players rather than actually retaining their current player base. It just meant that there was such a big divide between skill when you're getting rolled with three people, not necessarily that are even grand bananas, but three comp teams that are coming in to grind for it, let's say, against people that are going in random. I if they had like something in place to prevent you going in as a strong team, or they actually use the RP points to say, actually, you know what, you get a cap at like I don't know, 30,000 per team or something like that, and then you get put in separate lobbies. It just means that it would even out the field a little bit, rather than these kids that maybe have been going solo with one good player getting absolutely rolled by, let's say like a full comp team, right?
Yeah,
I don't really have an opinion on it, but I just that's my thoughts regarding it.
Yeah, we try not to run pubs as a whole team too often, just because it's not really good practice for us. But at the same time, I really enjoy playing with Danov and Patia, and I enjoy just chilling with them and running pubs and chatting with them about, girlfriends, or I just moved house, or whatever it might be. That's really nice. And so it's difficult. It's like I don't want to be, like just steamrolling everyone in the lobby, because I know that's not fun for them, and it's not even like that fun for me. Like I said, I like competition.
Yeah.
I do think that, and it does seem that they do have levers to sort of how harsh the matchmaking is, and it does seem that as they do big updates, they sort of up the matchmaking and make it a lot stricter, and then they sort of relax it afterwards, because definitely the lobbies seem to get sweatier around the time of updates. I would like to see them do that more often, not necessarily for my benefit, but I think that it seems like basically at the moment, when you start as a new player, you go into a new player's lobby with just new players, but then you hit like level 10 and suddenly you're in like the general population with everyone else. And you're basically like, you're free range to anyone and everyone. I would like to see a little bit more
ground walking across plains.
Yeah, exactly. I'd like to see a little bit more of a breakdown there.
Big question from Pink here regarding the lower divisions, like red and below. He says, I feel like getting rank 1 through 3 overall at the end of the season feels slightly unrewarding and confusing unless you're in Diamond. For example, you work very hard all season, you dominate, get rank 1, still you have to do qualifiers. If you just had a bad or off day on qualifiers, it nullifies the entire season. Perhaps rank 1 through 3 could get bonus points or a handicap going into quals. For example, 10 points or something added to rank 1, 5 points added to rank 2, and 3 points added to rank 3 or something like that. That sort of thing.
We used to have sort of automatic promotion for the teams that were ranked. I think rank 1 only got automatic promotion up to the top division. But that's actually a really nice idea, giving them sort of an additional set of points as they head into qualifiers. I'll take that back and chat with the team. We only have a week and a half to go before qualifiers, but we're able to move fairly quickly. So I'll take it back and discuss with the team. Having said that, though, qualifiers might be a little bit different this time because we're getting rid of white division, so everyone kind of has to shuffle up a little bit. So if you're in, like say for example, you're first in purple, you probably will find that you're getting automatically promoted anyway. We'll be announcing that hopefully later today once I finish this. That's my job.
Nice. Awesome. Heard it fast
to do tonight. Yeah, maybe. Well, I don't know about going red to diamond, but you still have to go through a qualifier for that, for sure. But definitely in the lower divisions, then you'll find that. One of the other difficulties, just to comment on that, Byron, is that there's not necessarily a guarantee that the team that's first in red is better than the team that's last in diamond. And that's something that we always try to balance is, but you're right that, if you have an off day, then, the whole season could go down the drain. But at the same time, should the team in, because what you're saying is that the team that's first in red should have more points, like let's say 5 points or something given to them before they start qualifiers. But they're going to also be facing the 7th team in Diamond. Is the 7th team in Diamond worse than the first team in Red? It's hard to say until they face each other. You don't know. I mean, look at Lumas's team is a perfect example. Like for 2 or 3 seasons now, they've made it into Diamond qualifiers every time, and then they've failed to get into Diamond every time they've gone back to Red. So yeah, it's a difficult one.
Balpo over in DC's chat here says, I don't like that there was a new format that was mandatory. I'd love to see ranked mode again, accompanied with a casual mode. I don't think that ranked mode should have been the only option like it was. Someone came in my chat recently saying they're new to the game and haven't played squads anymore because they don't want to bring down their friends' RP and feel bad, which is kind of sad. And yeah, it totally is.
Yeah, I completely agree. It is quite sad. I think it's difficult for the devs. I don't think they have enough of an active player base to split the player base too much. I mean, you've seen what they've done with like Legion's War and TDM and things, where they cycle them every week, which I think is quite nice because lots of people like those game modes. But yeah, when you have too many options, you end up with 5 players in each, and it's hard to find a lobby. And
something funny though that I don't know. I guess it probably existed before ranked mode, but it actually came from Bal's earlier. I don't know if you saw it, DC, where she was talking about playing with a guy a couple of days ago that would run to the end of his room on the hot drop and like use the thumbstick to adjust, and then like run back again, and you could hear him breathing heavily and stuff, just to try and get some extra speed on the hot drop. But yeah, the lengths people
if you have
go
the space, you gotta capitalize on it, right?
Just playing like a giant sports hall or something.
I don't know if anyone remembers the Kled and Chris TDB and the Luca. This is quite a while ago when Kled was still playing quite actively and quite big on YouTube. But they did play Pop 1 without using the thumbsticks at all in a giant like indoor soccer pitch.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they had to just absolutely leg it in Quest 2's the entire game. Nice. They were knackered.
How big is the map if you were literally to walk it one side to the other?
It's a kilometer.
Right. Yeah. That's insane.
So they're just legging it.
It'd be cool to play. Have you guys played Knock? It might be cool to play Knock inside inside a sports hall or something, because it's designed. It's like if you've seen Rocket League or something like that. It's like with arrows, almost like a football pitch like type setup, or a soccer pitch for you Americans if you're watching.
That is another game that I think has troubles though with getting into it, because their matchmaking, you go in and then you just get like dunked on by like this 11-year-old kid that's got ridiculous reflexes and a lot of time. But yeah, talking about Knock though, I mean, have you played much of it, or?
I've only played like 1 or 2 games, but we do run a Knock League, and Agafy sort of has been heading that stuff up. We just had a tournament this past weekend. It's pretty small, but it's happening. It's over there. Yeah,
that's cool.
We did Larsenauts too, but Larsenauts was a bit of a flop of a game.
Larsenauts, I just didn't really. I ended up refunding Larsenauts. I just didn't play much of it.
I did that too, actually.
Yeah.
In terms of the competitive scene with Ark, are you just planning to keep that as population 1, or obviously with the situation with Vale now, is that something you want to incorporate, or are you going to keep it completely separate?
Yes, I mean, like I say, we do have a Knock server. We will keep different servers for different games. That's how we've sort of decided that it's best to do it. Right. But we have a Knock server. We've got a couple of 100 people in there, and we had a Last Knot server as well. Vale, not really of interest to us. I mean, IRVL are doing really great things over there, and they seem to have the connections with the devs and everything. So it wouldn't really probably be worth us entering that space. And that we probably also wouldn't be able to get much, or at least a great amount of attrition from our current players, because Vale is PCVR only. And so there's some players, but I mean, if I have to hazard a guess, like 70 to 80% of Ark's players are, if not more, are Quest players, Quest native players. So yeah, Veil, no. But yeah, Knock, obviously, yes. Last Knots, yes. And I'm sure there'll be others as well when they come out. Yeah. I know this. I need to check out this Nerf game just came out.
Oh, yeah.
Just came out a couple of days ago. I haven't played it yet. Check that out.
I did not even know that it was released. That's how bad I am at keeping up with news.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I saw a trailer for it, actually. It did look pretty cool.
I've seen a video,
I didn't know that was already out. I thought that was up and coming. Yeah. So, what sort of role do you take in your ARC team, apart from just like making the calls on plays a lot of the time?
Yeah, in Cobra EU. So I'm much more of a like mid distance like covering player. Definitely obviously making the calls and like being that satellite, and I have a pretty good understanding of where most teams are on the map most of the time. But yeah, being sort of a mid-range player. So usually you'll see me at the moment with maybe with an op, but with an RFB, and then like Uzis or an M10 probably. Uzis like do really well when Dan and Patio are running DTs because like Uzis just absolutely shred through builds. Yeah. So what you'll tend to find is that I'm flanking as well and trying to get different angles, whilst the other two are pushing in more. So yeah, that's to be the way.
So like before the sort of hits, the advent of hit scan, and Uzis and stuff. I mean, what was your preferred loadout back in the day?
I'd say Goodbet and I are the only two players that used to run the MK18 as a main weapon.
I've been shredded by you with an MK before.
Yeah. MK's quite nice. Like purple or gold was really good. It's just not. It was ridiculous. I don't know why they changed it, because I thought it was quite balanced, to be honest with you. It wasn't overpowered. It was but now even when you're like two-handing it, you just can't. You can't hit all three shots over distance. You just can't because the recoil is so crazy. Yeah. So I was really upset about that. But the RFB is nice, but it doesn't feel like it feels like there's no real skill to the RFB. It's just pretty like aim and shoot. Was at least like the AK and things in the past.
I don't really feel like the AK is much different now to the current RFB either. I mean, there's just a little extra curl on its recoil at the end. It's just a bit faster.
I feel like it's a lot, but maybe I'm wrong. Yeah. I haven't really used the AK too much, just because I'm very comfortable with the RFB, and then the FAL as well.
See, the FAL, now that's something I'd love to get good at, but I can't hit the broadside of a barn with the thing. I don't know why.
Oh, really?
Magnum I can do, but it's just like, don't know what
at the moment. I hate the Magnum. The Magnum needs to be nerfed. The Magnum is powerful.
Yeah, it's way too powerful at the moment with hit scan. I actually liked the way the state it was in before, where it had like a slightly slower bullet travel time than the Seiko even.
Yeah.
And that sort of came part and parcel with its power.
Yeah.
For being a small sidearm with pistol ammo that's readily available and a really fast reload time. So it's like literally just one movement and you're fully reloaded. So I mean, that I don't think there's enough downsides to the weapon at the moment at all. So that's why you're seeing so much peaking with Magnum going on at the moment. And
I mean, it's a better Seiko essentially. I think for me, the nerf I would like to see to it is just lower its damage. Like a gold to be doing 52 to the body and 100 to the head is just, in my opinion, too much. Like it should be capped out at like 35, 40, in my opinion.
And one-shot builds as well. It's just crazy.
Yeah, exactly. The one-shot builds I don't think is too bad, because you can't like. I still think Uzis are going to shred through builds more so. But like 100 to the head and 52 to the body. I mean, it's just it's pretty terrible.
I was going to say, do you think that there's a stigma? I know you said about the RFB, and I had this conversation the other day with the Magnum RFB being low skill. Do you think that there's a stigma between, especially with the higher divisions, of, oh, that's a low skill gun, it's easy to use, I can hit it, I'm not going to go for it? Do you think that there's that sort of thing going around?
I don't think so with the weapons. I think that there are low skill strategies. So, for example, pin dropping and things like that. And people don't really respect players that pin drop. But I don't think so with weapons. I mean, ultimately, if something is the best, then you should use it. I mean, why wouldn't you? Like, if you're not going to use something, if suddenly, you know, the 1911 became super overpowered, like, but it was really low skill, like, I mean, your job is to win. Your job is not to, you know, like challenge yourself necessarily. So yeah, it's kind of on the devs to make sure that everything's balanced. And I must say, like, I think the devs have done generally a pretty good job of balancing the weapons. I mean, you see loads of different players using loads of different guns. Whereas if you load up Veil or you load up, you know, Call of Duty or Valorant or something, like there's weapons that do well and there's weapons that don't do well, and you know, you'll see generally the same sort or similar loadouts. But I think the pop devs have done generally a good job with it. So,
well, as Sky Candy was saying last night in her sort of session where she was talking about the stats, you know, you can see sort of just the difference between sort of player time in the game. I sort of hesitate to say level, but the amount of time someone spent in the game and the sort of weapons they tend to gravitate towards. So if you can handle an AK, it's got a really nice time to kill from mid-range and even up fairly close, especially if you're hitting those headshots. But if you can't handle it, an RFB is just easier to control. And
absolutely, yeah.
You know, you might as well go for that. It's just better for you.
And play to your strengths as well. I mean, if you're good with the AK, use the AK. If you're not going to hit any shots with it, even if it could have a better time to kill, if you aren't actually hitting all of those shots, it's useless to you. Use something else.
I mean, one of the best players I've ever seen with an AK is Alaskan Assassin, because he almost exclusively used it because of his crazy Alaskan ping. So he had to sort of just stay mid-range. You'd very rarely see him trying to snipe or get up close with a shotgun because he'd usually lose. But you know, he's so sneaky. You know, he'd sort of just disappear and rotate off around different things and appear behind you, and then you're beaming the side of the head, and they're all headshots as he peeks one-handed. And he has, I think he only uses something like 72% motion dampening.
Really?
Yeah, and he actually has like 30% offhand influence. So what he would do is he'd start the spray with one hand, and then he'd grab it halfway through with his other hand, and it would flick. It's really weird what he would do. But he said that there's like a certain like part of the old AK fire. This was before the update to the pattern where it would actually the bullets would sort of cluster a little bit faster. The fire rate would go a bit faster, so he'd try and time that to get his headshots in that area. So yeah, I mean, the guy had spent so many hours to master the AK, so that whenever they changed it, he wasn't happy. But of course, he adapted very quickly, of course. But you know, it's
so. Pap asked an interesting question about my piece of string. Yeah, so I can't remember who I described this to the first time. I kind of thought of it on the spot, and it makes a lot of sense. And I think it's something that we've talked about as a team a lot. So basically, the idea is that if we're a team, and usually as a team, you're spread out. You know, one's on the left, one's in the middle, one's on the right, as you're sort of pushing towards the team. Got to imagine that between you and I, Honey, there's a piece of string, and between Honey and DC, there's a piece of string. And that piece of string is as long as the distance between us and the nearest enemy. And so what this means is that, DC, if you're going on a bit of a flank around that way, you should never be further from Honey than you are from the enemy. So if you're 10 meters from Honey, then the enemy must be more than 10 meters from you. Yeah, that kind of thing. And what that means is that as soon as that enemy, like if they think that you're alone and they decide to try and push you alone, Honey should be able to get there quicker than they can get to you and provide that support. flanks are great, but if you're alone, certainly when you get into like diamond level or even red, if they see a player alone, they are going to like capitalize that and try and take advantage of that. Like if you've got, you know, 2 people over this way and they're both cracked, and you see that this guy's alone, like you're gonna push one of these 2 because this guy's alone and these 2 are cracked, and so they're not going to be able to come and support, and they're also not looking and they're trying to hide and they're over in a separate area. So it's quite I don't know, it's an interesting thing to think about.
Pat just mentioned Secret Rogue. Yeah, in Danoff's interview with Secret Rogue, he did talk about that. He says he's really concentrating on never being closer to the enemy than he is to his teammates. So that's the thing. You just want to have ready support at hand at any time. Seeing Sky Official says in DC's chat, what cool shit are we going to see soon? I want a forest with tree houses, tunnels, and grappling hooks. Well, 2 of those things are actually in the game, the forest. You've probably mod a grappling hook in there. So
that game is awesome. Have you had any experience with that game?
Which game,
forest?
Sorry?
The forest.
I haven't. No, I haven't played it.
Oh, yeah, you should definitely get that. It's really fun. Yeah.
Okay.
You can get up to 8 people in a server. Yeah, you can get up to 8 people in there as well. It's a survival game, and there's some cannibals after you.
Yeah.
It's really good fun.
Sea and Sky, I think soon you'll probably be seeing more trees, more houses, more tunnels. I don't know about the grappling hooks, but the other stuff, I think soon you might be seeing a lot more of that.
Yeah, especially with the announcement of the Quest 1 kind of getting dropped from support. They've got to do
I'm actually curious
crazy.
whether that means that we're going to have whether we're going to go back to like the original graphics, how it was like originally advertised.
Wow, that would be beautiful.
I don't know whether that's going to happen. I just want to be very clear. I have no clue. But yeah,
I feel like I should bring that trailer up for people, shouldn't I?
It's actually the Nvidia trailer. I know that they had like they went and did an announcement at like an Nvidia event, I think back in 2017, when the game was in, I think it was alpha, I think pre-beta or whatever. And then when the Quest 2 came out, they obviously wanted to make standalone a thing. And that's why everything got way textures and everything got way reduced. Let's have a look. So I don't know, because it's like it was an Nvidia thing. It was going to be like Veil, where it's PC.
But
only.
You can actually play with those graphics in the Steam build. You can play around and you can play on a different build. Tahoe, who's in the Arc server, if you know him, message him. He was playing on it just a couple of weeks ago.
That's so cool.
You can play around like by truck stop with all those graphics and everything. And like the weapons like fall on the floor and have like little beams of light coming out of them and stuff. It's pretty awesome.
That's amazing.
He actually screen shared with me some of the footage, and like just seeing the old style guns and like the other shotgun that they use where it was a pump action. It was it's crazy.
Yeah. Let's give
I'd
this
love to see that. I don't think it will, but
Oops, I'll just put that back.
They decided with the M10 instead.
Hello and welcome to GeForce and our coverage at Gamescom. I'm Julian here with Chachin and Gabe. We are going to talk about Population 1. Tell us about Population 1.
God, this looked so good in here. Even the gold PJ chat.
They're 2 founders,
Pushes the limit of VR. That's super fun. We built a battle royale game with climbing mechanics, so you can climb anything in the world, you can walk off the edge and fly anywhere. You can also build structures.
So
even the builds look great.
Every game seems to have the battle royale mode or something like that, but nobody's done battle royale in VR. Why did you guys decide to approach it that way?
The reason why we wanted to do this is because battle royale is a truly immersive experience where you're under stress, under duress.
Look how good
the ultimate experience.
Ammo counter looks.
Graphics and immersion.
That scope on the alt.
The scope.
The scope on the alt. Beautiful.
How many people at a time in this battle royale?
We're gonna ship with 24 people, free for all, or
that skin needs to be
12 versus 12.
24 people lobbies. Do you remember those days?
Yeah.
Oh man,
8 teams in pubs. I wish they'd bring that back. That was fun.
One thing is making sure people are
That was
comfortable
carnage.
in VR, and a big part
Yeah.
that comes with high frame rate.
But
So
it was
using cards like the RTX,
challenging.
making
Like
so
it made it
super
more
smooth,
challenging because there was just more teams to deal with, more chance of being third party. But at the same time, if you wanted to just pod and play like a little bit more smoothly, you could.
This is a game
Yeah.
where you have a lot of movement options, right? How can you get around
What's
this?
that?
2014
Giant
ARC lobbies were brutal though, because there was no real estate.
We literally didn't want
Yeah,
to limit you in VR. We wanted you to be able to walk anywhere, and
Whenever you've
anything
got
that you
fully
can
stacked
see, you
teams
just
who know their way
grab
around
and
the
grab
map
it. So when you're playing
altogether,
the game,
it's
you went out with my
a
demo,
little
you
harder.
started climbing a
There's
sign,
no
which is pretty
necessarily
cool.
easy
You
weaker
said I
teams to
could
pick
climb
off.
anything. I wanted to test
Yeah,
that.
you're like, I'm gonna climb this.
Here's
We're
a
like,
sign,
go
let's
climb
see
it. Yeah. So you can climb, can fly, can glide.
Yeah,
anywhere,
that's just
and
crazy.
The
sense of
foliage and stuff is
Yeah.
just like.
And then you
And the
guys
I could lay down and
reflections.
hide in that grass.
Detail
Yeah.
how the
Yeah,
guns work in the gun
that's
mechanics.
so
You wanna
nice.
Talk about that at all?
We spent a lot of time trying to make the guns feel really interesting, so each gun has its own personality behind it. So it's like the P90, you have to push the clip in, pull the bolt back. Pistols and revolvers, you have to push it and flip it over. So each gun is a little bit like a
at
Rubik's
that
Cube
op
because I
there.
know
Oh.
you're a puzzle fan.
Sure am. I was super good at loading those guns up. I don't know if you saw
Yeah,
that.
so I think that's a big part of VR is really playing with the fantasy of being an absolute badass playing with these guns.
You have a building mechanic as well in this game to build up structures, fortifications, defenses. Is it tough to implement building in a VR setting?
Yeah, I would say it's very difficult. Some of the things I really wanted to use with building was to give players defensive options. So it really came from its roots centered around gameplay is having
The little
moments of
laser
uncertainty
that
where
you
it's
have, like,
you could suddenly
Yeah,
through ingenuity use
to
building
sort
to
of put the
flip
builds
the
out.
I
battle.
don't even.
So
And
I
as
understand
you
you guys
build
are
it,
thinking of
like you
implementing
see like
some
a
NVIDIA tech
cog or something in the middle, like
Yeah,
turn.
absolutely. I'm really looking forward personally to
I wonder if
VRS,
that would
the variable
affect,
rate shading that
like,
allows us to
if
render at high
if we would
detail
only have to
areas you're looking
play
in
on
lower
like
detail
local
where you're
servers
not.
for this
Some
sort
the
of
scenes that we shot for our
graphics,
gameplay
though.
trailer, we
I'd be-
actually
I'd
shot
be
in
willing to
4K,
do it
which if
on
you're
LAN.
working in VR,
Just
Yeah.
rent out a big building, but on
Yeah,
LAN.
yeah.
Going to 4K is just another quantum leap. So we're able to get some shots that were not possible.
Yeah,
with
look at all
Looks
those
like-
trees and stuff. It looks amazing, huh?
You know, people at home with VR rigs actually jump in and play.
But that's the
Population 1.
future, right?
Yeah, we're
That's
still
like it's
aiming
not too
for
far
beginning
in the
of
future. I mean,
2019,
potentially if
but
it's
we're already
possible
in
now.
Please go
Once
to
they
our
Yeah,
get
well, I mean, that's one of the
chip
reasons why
size
Valve
down.
have said that they're not coming to Quest because they don't want to compromise on the
Thank
graphics,
you guys for
basically.
watching our coverage
Um,
here of Gamescom.
I just don't know
Reminder
what's
to check out
possible with the
Population
Quest
1
2 at
for
the
more
moment.
coverage of Gamescom stay tuned
Um,
here on
And obviously the next like Facebook device is going to be the Cambria, but that's more
Yeah.
targeted at work, it seems, rather than gaming. So we're probably not going to see, a new until the end of, well, probably in 2024, 2025. We won't see it. We'll see
Yeah.
another gaming one. So
Mhm.
yeah,
I think whenever there's a breakthrough in chip technology, once they get down to like that 7 nanometer chip sort of thing that they're going for, that sort of tipping point, then things will just take off massively because there'll be so much processing power. GPUs will get that much more powerful and smaller in general. And I don't if it keeps following Moore's law, which we're actually going slightly above at the moment. We're actually surpassing Moore's law at the moment recently, and so if it keeps going that way, well, then just a few years down the road, we'll have some insane experiences ready for everyone in VR.
So Moore's law is that the point of diminishing returns when things get kind of as compact as they can before
they then become more complex.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, it was like the thing that started with like the mobile phones, where you had like a mobile phone that then halves in size every year until it's so small that there's no point in making it smaller. So they actually make it bigger again, but it becomes more complex. So it becomes doubly complex and doubly
Right.
powerful, I suppose. So yeah, I think if we keep following Moore's law, we'll be doing really good technologically. I mean, of course, there is always the problem that Moore's law breaks and you just hit the hard cap. There's always bottlenecks to these things. Material science will be a big thing. If they can ever move on to like graphene-based chips, rather than silicon, because silicon just has like innate material limits to it. But graphene does too, of course. It's very hard to produce in large quantities at the moment. But yeah, it'll be really, really cool to see.
Sure.
Yeah, so I think I wanted to ask you about your comp team as well. Since you play with Patty and Danov a lot, like how often do you actually play pubs with them?
Lately, or like in the past couple of months, like not at all, because we've just all
mainly
been
the scrims.
Not even scrims, to be honest with you. We just hardly played. Dan's been, I was away June and July. I was traveling for work, and then July and August, Dan was traveling either for work or to see his girlfriend. So we just haven't been around, and obviously Patty is working. Patty has also been playing a lot of Veil, and he's on the Cobra Veil team.
That's cool.
So he's been focusing on that, obviously. So yeah, in the past couple of months, not much. I mean, at the end of June, Dan and I we grinded for Grand Banana together, but yeah, not much lately. I'd love to scrim more, but I think, like Pat said earlier, it was a while earlier, like EU just doesn't
too
scrim.
lazy.
Yeah, EU are just too lazy to scrim. Unfortunately, that's kind of always been the case. I mean, since way back.
Daydog,
yeah, like when we had the MTS scrims. I mean, naturally, the EU scene is smaller. But, I would say naturally there are technically more people, but language barriers and other things as well cause issues. But yeah, it just seems like teams don't want to practice as much, which is why we don't really see as many, EU teams at the higher levels up in, red and diamond. To be honest with you, I think they're certainly capable of it. They just need to practice more.
Yeah. Thanks very much for the follow, Holy Jeff. That's very much appreciated. Yeah, stop by in the future for more PopCast content and occasional shoutcasts. Hardly actually play the game anymore, but we do love talking about it.
Talking about it, yeah.
Pap says the EU lot go to the pub. That's what's happening.
Yeah.
They'd rather go pub than play pubs.
Yeah, very true. Yeah.
So how do you train, like whenever you were playing a lot, like how do you train a team to sort of, I mean, obviously you have to have a baseline bit of chemistry anyway and kind of be, I guess, similar sort of levels of skill maybe. But like how do you take it to the next level once you've got the baseline?
Yeah, I mean, back in the early days, we used to spend a reasonable amount of time like watching back our games, and we still do today. Like but we won't do it together necessarily. We'll go and watch back our games and talk about, like where things went wrong, or where we could improve things, basically. Because like we have a general rule that we don't really discuss decision making in the game. It's just a case of like what Complete says goes. But then after the game, we'll talk about, shouldn't have done that, or like, Dan thought we should have done this instead, and we'll say, okay, like in hindsight, that probably was the better move, and then like basically then my decision making becomes better based on the feedback, because otherwise you're in the middle of a game and you're talking about, should we push, should we not push, you're just not on the same page at all, and again at diamond level that's going to cause you real problems. For sure really quickly as well.
Do you ever watch other streamers or comp players? Do you ever like clip stuff and send it to like your like Patya and Danov to say, this is what we should do, or or this is how to improve in this certain skill?
No, that's something that I don't probably do enough, to be honest with you. They don't. I don't really watch many of the other streamers, their points of view. I'll mainly watch sort of either our own our own footage back, or like the caster or whatever, because then you get like a better idea of what was going on. I mean, generally, I think I have a good understanding of like what the other streamer, like what other people are doing and how they play and their play styles, just from having faced them.
Would you recommend that to players that maybe are looking to get into a little bit more serious comp play?
I mean, it definitely, like in the very early days, I used to watch Vape, in the very early days, like and try to just understand like his strategy a little bit more for pubs at the time, and like how could I get better at pubs, because this was before private rooms and before the comp scene was even a thing,
Sure.
So yeah, I mean, definitely. I I definitely say, like, yeah, if you're not sure where to start, like, yeah, watch other people, watch their footage and try and understand their strategy, but also like message them, reach out to them. Like most people in this community, they might troll a lot in Discord, but most of them are pretty nice to speak to and would love to talk to you about their strategies or their gameplay and things like that. They all love having their ego stroked. So yeah, any opportunity.
Well, and also there are a couple of Discord servers that'll occasionally run events. Six Mentoring sort of comes to mind at the moment. Scanter does like the one-man army thing every now and then. Like I think it's the first Monday or last Monday of every month, where he just basically does a 1v3. So it's just him and taking on a squad of people. And he sort of gives you a chance, only kill one of you and then sort of run away a bit. And it helps him practice his survival, I guess, but it also lets you try and coordinate your pushes. It's kind of like, so one of the things that I learned from Jack Girl whenever he was teaching me, like how to get into comp, the thing he taught me was this game that he called Punishment, which is where you take your comp team and you do a rotation where one person takes on the other two, and the other two are only allowed to use PX4 and UMP, and you can use whatever loadout you want if you're the one in Punishment. And then you just rotate around that, and so it helps the other two coordinate their pushes, and it helps you learn how to survive under the assault of a coordinated push. So that's one of the really, really good, powerful ways to train. Do you do any drills in particular yourself with your team, or are you kind of past that now?
Not really.
Just
I mean,
know?
now we have. Certainly lately, like we just haven't had the time or haven't had the chance. 1v1s are always good, and just getting into like a TDM lobby 1v1ing. I also think like training, like if it's your gun skill that's an issue, then like Training Park is actually really underrated. Just go in there and just try and control your recoil and understand how the weapons work a little bit more. Like it's really, really underrated. Like, if we're running pubs before we compete and, one of us is not feeling great with a particular weapon or just something just feels a bit off, we'll just go to Training Park for 5-10 minutes and just shoot that one weapon nonstop. Then you get a bit of a hang for it, a hang on it. And
Totally.
But otherwise, like, 1v1s, we've got Zav on the team as well as a sub. So we've got 4 of us. So we 2v2 a fair bit as well, which is nice because then you can practice the teamwork, but we're also facing, like good opponents as well and people who will really capitalize on you. That's sort of the most important thing is like understanding how you can, when someone headshots you, which happens, right? You're never going to be able to avoid ever getting headshot. But when it happens, understanding how quickly you heal up. I mean, I was saying to Zav just yesterday, actually, Zav got down to about 1 or 2 health at one point. He starts shaking his shakers. I said, no. Like, the first thing you do is your bananas, because that's instant health. You can get 2 bananas down you in like a second, 2 seconds. You're instantly back up to 100 health. Then if you've got some sodas, pop 2 sodas and then shake a shaker, because whilst the soda's taking effect, you're shaking a shaker. So it's like
6 seconds
efficiency
total
to get back. Yeah, exactly. It's like efficiency of how quickly you can get back up to full health.
One shield puck and you're good.
Yeah, whereas otherwise, Zav was going to shake a shaker, shake another shaker, that's 10 seconds. And then peel 2 bananas, that's 12 seconds.
If he watches back, if he does watch back the footage from yesterday from my shoutcast, I was sitting there going, Zav needs to get some shield in him.
Exactly. And then also, like, if you should, as long as if you have heals, you should never be peeking someone or re-peeking someone if you have less than 150 health.
Yeah, because it's death to go up.
Just in case.
Because the moment you get a headshot is the moment that someone's going to push you. And there's also, it takes 6 seconds to res, I think. 6 seconds to res, then you've got to pick up all your shit again. Then you've got to heal. Sorry for my language, by the way. I hope it's okay to swear on this podcast. But then you got to pick all your stuff again. You got to reload all your weapons, sort out your inventory as well. This is another thing that is sometimes a little bit underrated, is like taking the time to organize your inventory so that your shotgun is always in the same spot. Your mid-range and your long range, and then your heals are always in the same spot. Because when you are pushing someone and you're flying in and you're, AK spraying them or RFB, whatever it might be, being able to just instantly switch to your DT or your shotgun or whatever it is like you should just be able to do that without looking, and you just know exactly where it is. So yeah, taking that like split second to like go into your inventory, drop everything you need, pick everything back up so it's in order is like invaluable.
Absolutely, yep. Pap asked an interesting question here. What's Complete's best Pot 1 moment so far? What has tickled your pickle?
From a comedy perspective, I'd say it would be Danov's aggressive banana and pin drop.
Aggressive banana.
I don't know whether you
drop.
can pull it up on it. It's on Danov's channel. If you look at his top clips, it must be up there.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll look for that.
You know, like there are times when you have to pin drop. Okay, your back's against the wall. The only place you could go is up. You have to do it. But Cobra EU have never been a team that can pin drop particularly well. It's not something we practice. And yeah, basically zone, you know, coming to the end of the zone, we jumped off of the tower. Zone was shrinking just by the little construction there. And Dan rams a banana down his throat. I mean, he smacks his headset. You can actually hear it. And then throws 2 grenades, but doesn't realize that you fall at the same speed as your grenades if you just continue falling. And you have to actually throw your frag grenades and then stop and fly a little bit and then drop behind them so that they explode. So Dan just drops on his own grenades. His grenades destroy all the builds, deal about 100 damage to him, and then he just gets a shotgun in his mouth and that's it. It's over. It was like, I watched that clip. It's just still to me like hilarious.
What's Danov's channel called for the people out there? I can't find it yet.
Danov VR, Danov _VR, something like that.
Danov. That's Secret Rogues thing of Danov. I am looking for this aggressive banana thing. Don't know where it is. His Twitch unfortunately doesn't have any video clips on it.
It should do.
It's probably just they've expired.
Don't worry. But from a competitive standpoint, there'd probably be 2 instances, like my favorite moments. One would be like originally qualifying for season 1 of Mob Toyko. So in season 1 of Mob Toyko, most of the major clans were all given 1 spot each for playing, and then there was an open qualifier, and it was, I think, 2 days long, and we knew we were good, but we didn't know if we were quite good enough to qualify, and then we ended up qualifying, and we've been in Diamond Division ever since, except from this season where we've now been relegated down to qualifiers, and we'll have to face off against DC to try and earn our spot back next season for the first time in.
Don't worry, I wouldn't worry about it, to be honest. I'm gonna be real. I found it. Mate, so I'm gonna quickly. I'm gonna send it to you.
Or you can just type it in here. Just type it in here. Paste it. So see the button in front of me. Just paste it. Click on that and paste it.
Oh my god! I know I'm gonna
just
ruin
delete
something
everything
now.
And then paste it. Yeah, and then just press the paste button, and then press
this
enter.
is it, and it's not something dodgy.
No, this is it. Okay, beautiful.
Oh yeah,
excellent.
This is it. Yeah.
Let's go up. Thank you for
it
finding
just makes
that,
me laugh because it was such a dumb...
One sec.
Yeah. We need to get your camera up there.
Yeah, there you go.
He shoved it in his face. Smashes it down his face. I don't know why. And then drops his frag, but then just like instantly gets taken out by his frag, and he's down and can't reload. And then he starts picking things up off the ground as well. And it was just a complete mess. It was just the worst.
Oh my gosh!
Love that.
But it's the speed at which he put the banana in his mouth.
Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah,
I think the thing is as well with when you're trying to do stuff in a hurry with the index controllers. Oh my gosh, picking stuff up when you're trying to reload a gun is the worst, especially when you've got a whole body's worth of stuff just there in front of you. Yeah,
definitely. It's not the best for sure. I know it's happened a number of times to Dan and to Patio where they've dropped stuff. It sucks.
Yeah. Mike says a definite treat having Complete here. It really is. It's been
You're welcome, man.
absolutely awesome hanging out with you so
Happy
far.
to be here. Thanks for the invite.
I still do have more questions for you though.
Keep going then.
Yeah. So there obviously like you're here to talk about mainly like ARC because you know a lot about ARC, but there's sort of been a lot of other leagues sort of popping up here and there. GoP1's one that I shoutcast for is like a smaller sort of more of a sort of little fight club, I guess. It's good fun, very fluid, nice and easy for people to get into, but pretty casual, really. So it's just good practice for people to go and a lot of them treat it kind of like a scrim, very aggressive play. And but like so UGL's coming up. They're sort of branching out and doing like duos and solos and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Any of those you sort of keeping your eye on?
I mean, look, like I just keep an eye on like what every league is doing in general. I mean, that's like
mm-hmm.
to some extent they're competition, right? In that sense,
mm-hmm.
But lots of these leagues sort of form off of things that they are unhappy with at ARC, and that's completely understandable. But what you tend to find is that they then end up doing things pretty similarly to how we do things because they realize all of the decisions that we've been through, and they basically like go through the same sort of situations where we can't do this, or just like lobby hosts, for example. When you're running 20 sessions, it's just not possible. Screenshot verification, and we actually had a meeting last night, our leadership meeting, and we talked about the PPC EU's like score submission system and like what do we think of it, and is it something that we should try and adopt? I don't know whether it has much of an effect on the speed of the lobbies, really. Maybe a little bit, but it means that you have to have someone that in a central place for every single session. And PPC EU is great because they only have one session that runs a week. They have 4 groups playing at one time. So you only need one person for 2 hours a week, basically. Whereas we have different play times that end up happening. We probably have close to 10 different play times happening in a week. And on Saturday, like you said, you can watch the stream from 1 p.m. until the 9 p.m. session finishes, like non-stop, basically, with ARC. We would need someone
to sit there all
for
the
10 hours, recording these scores. And then there's the side of, is it really quicker and easier for people to submit their scores that way? Like they have to come out of their headset to do it, unless you're obviously on Index, which is, again, not many people. Is it not just easier to walk up to someone and give them a score? I don't know. And then, training lobby hosts and making sure that they know the rules and they know the settings and things like that. And, restarts and, obviously PPC, you don't have restarts, which is absolutely fine. And that's absolutely a way that, ARC could have done it. But we just felt that it sucks a little bit if you disconnect at the very start of the game and you can't get a restart or something's out of your control. Something
that I'd really like to be an Oculus feature, or just a feature of the game itself, would be, if the big box devs could do this would be amazing. If you could put a folder together beforehand where you want your screenshots to go, and then have a really fast way to take a screenshot in Pop1, and then it could like auto send basically to a destination, that would be amazing. So, if you wanted to like screenshot all of your scores for the end, and then at the end you just press one button and the path you've already put in to like a Discord server or something, it just gets pasted straight in there. That would be beautiful.
So it is easier now on Quest because you can now, and I don't know why they didn't do this from the beginning, but you can now get your screenshots off of your headset on the mobile app, so they will sync it to the cloud, and then you can just download them on your phone.
It's just not really that easy because you have to sort of go in and open them first sometimes, and then open your phone up. And I did that for a long time, and then eventually I switched to PCVR and just play over Airlink or Virtual Desktop, and it's so much easier. Virtual Desktop, it just puts them straight onto your desktop as well, which is really handy. So, I think what a lot of the getting back to the other leagues thing, if you're dissatisfied with something, it's like natural to want to try and make your own your own version in the image that you feel it needs, and that's a good thing because it drives innovation. There'll be people, I'm sure, coming up with better ideas that run, but are they scalable? That's always a question. That's what Ark's going to be thinking of, I'm sure.
And this is why I was having a conversation with Pap about it. I mean, like, that screenshot reporting and score reporting works fine for 4 groups playing once a week. It just doesn't work at the kind of scale that Arc offer. And sure, it'd be great if we could say every single division always plays at 2 p.m. on Saturday. Like, that's the only session that you play.
Very hard, though.
but
like Diamond Division are already pissed that they're already only able to play on a Saturday. So
like loads of people would not play because of that. Then you need God knows how many lobby hosts that are all available at exactly the same time, or you end up with players hosting, and there are inherent issues with players hosting because they're distracted by the gameplay. They can't see anything from a third party and understand what's going on. There's accusations of bias potentially as well. Like, it always comes back to you can't please everyone. You just have to do what you think is best. And
I mean, bias is certainly a thing that I suppose, like, you can't avoid having the conversation about that whenever you've got clan leadership in a position of power over the league as well. So that's happening, I guess. That someone brought that up. I think it was Robert Button in the CIC channel the other day, and saying UGL is kind of basically run by NMC and CIC, and so there's got to be bias, and because of that, there's definitely going to be like some cheating and stuff here and there. I mean, not necessarily. I know Ghost Recon and Detroit fairly well from just interacting with them online and occasionally playing with them. Those guys, they love community, and they genuinely do want to go out of their way to try and make a better thing. The only thing is, I guess it might be an American thing, but they do get a bit like overly competitive, like trying to drag down the competition instead of just building the thing better. But I think those thoughts, they sort of vanish with whenever practicality comes into it's good for morale boosting, but you're not going to make any effective decisions thinking that way.
For sure. It's a difficult one. Definitely. I mean, I've often thought about I think a lot of people get confused about whether I own Cobra or not. Like, I don't own Cobra. I'm the team captain of Cobra EU, but Major Wise Guy and Delporn own Cobra. But I've often thought about I get accused of maybe not even bias, but like favoring or pandering to the diamond level teams because I'm also a diamond level player. And I don't think it's necessarily the fact that I'm a diamond level player. I've often thought about, like, would it be better for me to just retire from playing and just focus on Arc? I believe I'd still make the same decisions because like I said at the very start, like, my vision for Arc is to be the most competitive place. And that does mean, like, Diamond Division is inherently the most competitive places. The people that are at the top of the game. I mean, this comes back to like prize pool distribution and things like that. And lots of people want to see, more prize pool for the lower divisions.
Look at Premier League football.
I would love to do that, but like,
you got to.
It's not possible.
You got to focus on the ones that are people want to watch.
If you look at any sport, I mean, 95+% of the overall prize pool within a sport will go to the top league or the top division. I would love to be able to offer more to lower divisions, but I think that it's important that we reward the people that are at the top for being at the top first. And it's sometimes, it's difficult to get that point across to people sometimes. I mean, one thing I saw this past season was like a lot of people being quite ungrateful about the fact that we had ProTube supplied some gun stocks to us as prizes. So we had 18 gun stocks that we were able to give away in prizes throughout the season, which is fantastic. And like, massive shout out to ProTube. They were amazing. What people don't realize is, like, I didn't buy those gun stocks. That wasn't like, because people were basically saying, like, you don't use gun stocks in population 1. And so why are you giving them away? As like, we didn't, it's not like I went and spent £1,000 on buying gun stocks to give you away. Like, otherwise I would buy something different. I would buy something more applicable. But the fact is, they were given to us for free. So, like, if you don't want them, you don't have to take them. I'll give them to someone else that does want them.
If you want to get into Veil, they might turn out useful.
Exactly, thing. Veil or other games, or it's just like a cool accessory to have. I mean, or sell it for all I care. Like, it's completely up to you. But it was quite. I don't know. It's just ungrateful, really. I think in some cases, and the same comes to I don't think people understand the time that we put into running Arc, and all of the league owners do into running their different leagues and things. Like it's a thankless job. None of us make any money from it. The only money I've made from Population One is money that my team won in. I think we've won 2 events now. That's the only money that I've ever got out of Population One, and I've put in over $2,000 worth of money into prize pools and things like that out of my own pocket. It's let alone the thousands of hours that I've put in moderating Discord, in answering questions, attending meetings, talking to sponsors, whatever it is.
Yeah, you do put in a lot of work, and I'm sure, everyone that plays in Arc, I guess they don't see that. So it's great to have you on, and you can finally vent a little bit about the stuff you actually have to do.
I don't think I'm not expecting you to get down on your knees and say, "Oh my god, thank you so much, Complete. I'm so thankful." I'm not expecting that at all. But just don't be an asshole. Just be. You can criticize, absolutely. I want feedback, I want criticism, but you don't have to be ungrateful or an asshole about things, basically. Yeah.
We got a couple of nice questions in the chat here. Buffalo Beal says, would it be possible for StatBot to track private rooms?
Yeah, so that's we talked about it a little bit earlier, but basically the API that we use from Big Box, which technically they didn't give to us, but it's sort of a publicly documented API, that only tracks public rooms, public games. So that's why we can only track public games with StatBot. I've requested an API for private rooms. I know that they have the ability to get scores from I know they have the ability to get scores from private rooms and things like that. They have a querying tool. I've seen it. I've used it with Big Box Philip before. But it's not something that they can give us access to, and they aren't. They don't have the time to, or whatever it is, to give us an API. They're also a bit concerned about data protection and things like that. I know that Sky Candy is working on something, and again, we talked about this earlier, but I know she's having some bugs or some issues, but she said as soon as she's comfortable with that, and as soon as it's in a position where she can share it, she will share it. It's kind of out of our control, unfortunately. But as soon as it becomes available to us, 100% we'll build it into StatBot, and
DC, do you want to take the next one?
So Pap said, if your team folded, who would you choose to play with going forward? Or would you just retire, as you said before?
Yeah, I think I'd probably just retire, to be honest with you. Unless someone actively approached me to come and play for their team, which I don't think anyone would, to be honest with you. Not many people like me. No, but
you can carry me anytime.
But unless
someone DC will start up a team. It'll be great.
Yeah. I think I'd probably just retire and just focus on Arc, and I don't think we talked about it over the summer. Like I said, are we all still committed to this? Because we just had so much other stuff going on, and we kind of all came to the conclusion that no, we are. It's just summer, and now as September comes, we're all back home and able to play and compete more seriously again. So, but I don't think I would go to another team. I might do a coaching sort of position if people were interested in that, but I'd probably just retire.
That's cool. Yep. DC, what about you? Same question.
I'm struggling to even keep a team together. So I'm in the complete opposite direction. I'm a complete contrast. But no, for me, I've got to the point now where I felt like for a long time, especially with Arc, I felt like I wanted to prove myself, especially within my team. I've always been that guy that would play with people that are better than myself to try and improve. And I've just got to the point now where I know I'm competent enough to even I think for me, it's a great achievement to just get into the Diamond qualifiers, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Especially when we had subs every match throughout the, because that my team fell apart, right? So it just it's one of those things. But you know what, I don't know. I'll definitely try and find another team. But I just, yeah, it's about, for me, I could play with better players. I could, but for me, it's more about the enjoyment and the fun of it.
Yeah, I agree as well.
I don't know how much interaction you've had with Johan and AMD Guru, but they're such nice, genuine, lovely guys.
Yeah,
and
Johan has been for a long time. Yeah.
Exactly, and I'd just much rather spend time with them and play. Even if we lost, like yesterday, we dipped down because you came up, and now we dipped down. But no, but do you know what? Like, even afterwards, when we were chatting afterwards, we said how much fun it is, and that's for me, that's what it is. So
I think people really hear that in the team comms as well through the shoutcast whenever I follow you. Like, it's kind of in contrast to the sort of quite silent comms, very concise comms of Complete and Cobra EU. But you guys, you're always in the action, I guess, and you're calling stuff out, and you're expressing how you feel about stuff. So it's pretty fun to listen to. So yeah, it's a big help for you guys to get in that Discord call for me to get in. And I'm sure the viewers do enjoy hearing that. Another really good question here. What are Complete's thoughts on toxicity amongst players, particularly the upper tiers of players? That's an interesting question.
It's a very interesting question. It's a very difficult topic as well, I think. I do think that a lot of the upper players gatekeep quite a lot. They aren't particularly welcoming to new players, and we've talked a lot about how we can try and restructure the Arc Discord server to be a little bit more welcoming to new players. And we also think that these open tournaments and things that we're just sort of kicking back off again are an important part of that. A place for people to come and enter into competitive. I don't think that it's necessarily as bad as some people make out. I think that the line between toxicity and like just trolling and just like
banter,
having a joke and banter and having jokes with your friends is a fine line, and what might be jokes between friends to an outsider might look like toxicity. And so that can cause issues, and that's partially why we closed off all of the like the division general chats to just that division. So there's like kind of this more private safe space for people to converse if they want to.
So Blue Division don't have like Diamond Division guys coming into having the crap.
Exactly, and at the same time, like you can't see the back and forth that's happening in Diamond Division and think that that's like sort of part of the server. Like these are very competitive people who also all know each other. Like you got to remember, a lot of the Diamond Division players have been playing. Well, you've got to have been playing for at least sort of 2 seasons as you come up through Gold and Red, but most of them have been around for 12 plus months. And so these guys know each other very, very well. And we know each other's personalities, and everyone has their different groups and their cliques and things like that. And that's just society as a whole, I think. Definitely. Definitely, if anyone has any thoughts, then like on how we can help improve things, then like my DMs are always open, and you can always create a ticket in Arc if you want to. Like we always want that feedback, and it is sometimes difficult for us to. It's difficult for me to re-experience what it would be like to be a new player because I've just been here for so long. It's difficult. So yeah.
Thank you very much, Tibu. I did choose this outfit today. For a reason, it's got all the assets that I require, and hopefully you guys at home are enjoying them too.
All the assets. The side profile is fantastic, I must say.
So, I mean, so for me, harassment and stuff like that, toxicity, I suppose, is like it'd be so simple if people would just know when to stop, but I think that people just don't a lot of the time because it's online and there's no threat of physicality in real life. Whenever men interact with each other, if someone says something to mug you off, you just give them a little slap. Or you don't really give them a slap, but you have a threat of that. And there's that underlying sort of fear that, hey, if I step out of line, this guy might just lamp me. There isn't that online at all, so there's no real filter, and people just don't know when to stop. So if you tell someone to stop, a lot of the time they just keep going. Like there's a guy in Arc actually when I was playing in Blue Division, and every lobby he saw me and he'd just come up and tell me how shit I was. I used to just tell him to fuck off all the time, but he never did. But I just ended up muting him.
And another one of these issues. Well, firstly, you can just mute them, and you don't have to talk to them. You'll find often if you come into a Diamond Division lobby, I will be on team chat because I'm competitive and I will say some shit that I'll regret. So I'm on team chat and only my team can hear. And obviously, there's the comms on stream, but it's a little bit different. I'm not saying it to someone. But what we often find as well is people don't report this stuff always. And they just think oh, that's just the way it is. And it's not at all. There are very few, if next to no, I think, next to none, reports of toxicity that we haven't taken action against. We actually our moderation log is designed so even if we don't take action on a report, we will still post it in the moderation log and it will say no action taken, and we'll explain our reason why we took no action. Maybe insufficient evidence, or he said, she said, that stuff does happen, unfortunately. It's a really difficult one, man. I know that there's a lot of negative connotations towards Arc and its toxicity. I'd love to change them overnight, but it's a difficult one for sure. There used to be a day, a year ago, when I would read every single message in that Discord, up to about 10,000 messages a week. Wow. Every single message I was reading. Every morning I would wake up, I would see everything that happened overnight. But now we're at 15, 20,000 messages every single day. I have a full-time job. I work on another business in my spare time. I have a girlfriend. I just don't have the time to read every. Trust me.
A lot of juggling.
I don't do a very good job at it, if you ask my girlfriend. But
don't know if she's lucky or unlucky.
So so we do really rely on people to report it to us, and then we will take action. But it's a shame. A lot of people don't want to or aren't comfortable to, and I do understand that. But I think there also has to be a level of understanding that if you aren't going to report it, it's not going to get fixed. It's not going to change. So,
I think that generally, for the most part, in real life, there's this want to deal with things yourself, though. For sure. That's it, and it's just people don't realize that because there's no consequences really in the virtual world. All you can do is approach someone who runs the server or has a position to moderate that sort of stuff, because you don't have any particular power on your part apart from getting into a shouting match, and if you do that, then they might report you, and then you're in trouble. So you might as well just store up some evidence, send it in a ticket, and that's probably the best way to deal with toxicity, really. You could also give them a chance. You can definitely approach the person and just say, look, here's all the messages in screenshots of what you've said to me, and I'm thinking of reporting you. Just an apology.
Yeah, exactly.
Because a lot of the time we just want an apology.
An apology, or just stop. I don't enjoy this. You might think it's a funny joke, but I don't enjoy it. So I just tell them to stop, Yeah.
That's it. Lisa, have you ever had any incidents of toxic behavior towards you on stream or off stream?
Not really. Not really.
You're such a lovely guy. People like you, and you're good.
Somehow, I don't. No, I somehow I get. Like I said the other day when I was sat in Complete's position, the other day someone said, I just thought you were a dick. But and then when I actually got to another one at Balpo as well. See what I mean? So and when but actually when you speak to me, maybe I am. I don't know. I'm not good. You can make your own decision. But it's funny. So. It's funny how people have that preconceived notion of you, right? Until you squad up with them or you have a chat with them in a lobby or something.
But I guarantee there are people who think I'm a dick because we banned swords yesterday. Like, and they have never spoken to me.
Judgment.
Yeah, they've never spoken to me, never played a game with you or anything like that. 100%. I know exactly what you mean, man.
Instant character judgment.
Yeah, for sure.
So it reminds me of the whole the Maggie Thatcher milk snatcher thing from years ago that people used to do, like back in like the 70s. Like I wasn't even alive back then, but yeah, like Margaret Thatcher like took away milk from like schools or something like that. So so people were sort of really pissed off at her for doing it, and she was a horrible person to like so many people, just because like apparently they couldn't afford it or whatever. I'm sure they had their reasons. I don't know. Maybe she was just evil. Who knows? Just really didn't like kids having a source of calcium, but who knows?
So firstly, Pab, I just wanted to address, okay, I am wearing the only thing that the only option that doesn't have like big boobers. Okay,
there are other options.
The only options there was big boobers, waifu material. This was the only thing that I could choose. Okay, it's not Indiana Jones, same actor, but it's Han Solo. And yes, if you post a picture of me, you are doxing, and I'll ban you.
They move.
Yeah, complete. It's tradition. It's tradition. You have to. You gotta
fill me up. Hold on. Come fill me up. I'll get into it.
No, get right up in there. Come on.
Get right up in there. Yeah. Look, they move.
Yeah. I can't. My desk is right here, so I'm kind of. Oh yeah.
I can't.
Oh, they do.
They
and
move.
Turn around. Make sure you get both.
I'll just get in here. Look, go on.
This one's got the thick backside though. So the bum moves as well.
Do you want to give that a slap too?
Yeah.
I've lost my chair. Oh no.
It's alright. You can just sit on complete. I'm sure at this point.
Yeah, I saw when Bao got on your lap the other day. Yeah, Alpha just suddenly like teleported onto your lap.
Clipped,
yeah. Cancel complete. Come on, fucking hell. Not again.
Sexual harassment.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sending your girlfriend.
Entrapment. Yeah. Did I miss anything? Yeah. So. Yeah, that kind of goes through pretty much everything I wanted to talk about. Is there anything you'd like to talk about in particular? Anything that
not particularly. I think we've covered a lot. It's been
one last thing. One last thing before you go. If you had to say, if you could get one thing that the developers can that will make right instantly, if you said to the developers, "This is the one thing that I really request from you guys," like one wish, what would it be?
Okay, I'm going to say two separate things. One from a player perspective, one from an arc perspective. Sure. Player perspective would be nerf the Magnum. Every time I get hit by a Magnum in pubs, I've made a habit of like shooting the body of that person. I don't teabag because that's terrible. But I shoot their bodies, and then I also message the devs in capital letters, "Nerf the Magnum."
I see you're passionate about this then.
Yeah, I like it. It's unbelievable. And then from an ARC perspective, like definitely like we talked about an API for private room scores, because that would just like the scalability of ARC would move to a completely different level at that point. You know, we have a team of like 10 to 15 screenshot verifiers. Like I just wouldn't need that team anymore. I mean, they'd be able to help out in other areas, of course, like moderation and things, but I just wouldn't need them for that. And it would hopefully make it would certainly make the lobbies go a lot quicker, because there would be no need for anyone to submit a score. We would just instantly be able to get the score from that last game at the moment the game ends. And we'd be able to, providing no one needs to go to the toilet or whatever it is, we could just start the next game instantly. So yeah, API would be, I'd say that probably even more than the Magnum. I'll live with the Magnum if we can get that API.
Nice.
Yeah. Pap says, complete legend. Never always seen eye to eye, but huge appreciation. Without his tenacity, comp wouldn't exist as we know it.
Absolutely.
Great podcast. Thank you
thanks,
very
Pap.
much, Pap. That's really, really kind. So I suppose with that, we should end, right? I'll just
wrap
bring it in
up.
for a little close up here. Hold on. And here. That's the wrong one. There we go. So, thank you very much, everyone, for being here. You guys are awesome. And look forward to Friday at 5 p.m. BST, 12 noon EST, for our next interview with Noose. So that's going to be awesome.
Must be 10 p.m. EST. It's 5-hour time difference.
No, 5 p.m. BST.
5 p.m.
5 hour time. Yeah, midday.
5-hour time makes it 10 p.m. EST, no?
At 5 p.m.? Yeah, actually, that's probably true. Yeah, it's 1700 goes to 12, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so 12 noon
Something like that.
EST is 5 p.m.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. I'm done. Yeah. You're right. You're right.
No, it's confusing.
Midday EST.
Anyway,
I just work in EST now. I've forgotten British time. I just work in EST.
Brilliant. Everyone that's been here on DC's chat and in my chat, you guys have been awesome, and I look forward to seeing you again for the next podcast. And bye-bye.